Jai Hind, Bhaiyo Beno. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know you have been waiting for this day. We got a wonderful guest today, Colonel Padmanabhan sir. We are waiting for him. Here's our chief guest, Colonel Padmanabhan sir is here. Sir, many of aspirants have been waiting eagerly for you. Here is
Thank you.
Colonel Padmanabhan sir. Jai Hind sir, Jai Hind. Bhaiyo
Let,
Beno,
let me
ladies
put
and
this.
gentlemen, here's our chief guest, Colonel Padmanabhan sir. Sir, warm
Uh,
welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin.
Thank you,
Nice
sir.
to see you
We,
with a big
we may
smile
be
as
seeing
usual.
ourselves with the left hand saluting. It's because it's the mirror effect
That
of
is
the
true.
camera. Please don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. I know
Good,
you
good.
have been waiting for this moment since we have announced our chief guest for today's program, Colonel Padmanabhan sir. Let's have, without wasting time, let's start our program. You all know, many of you are aware about Colonel Padmanabhan sir. No introduction required, but still, there are lots of NCC cadets across the country who have joined today. I know it. I'll give a quick introduction about Colonel Padmanabhan sir. When I was born in the year 87, sir got commissioned in Indian Army. I would like to start like this. When I was born in this country, when in this world, sir is commissioned. Okay, now I'm not going to tell my age. You can find out, and I will not tell. So you can calculate my age. Okay, that's great. Sir was commissioned in Signal Corps of the Indian Army. Got training from Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, and most of his tenure of his posting was in the north, JNK, northeast, Rajasthan, Punjab. You all are aware that sir was a war veteran. He has been part of Kargil war operations, and towards his towards the end of his tenure, he was into NCC battalions as commanding officer. Long tenures, as 10 years, he has been in the NCC as commanding officer. He was privileged to commission the Northeast NCC battalion, which is in Anini. And after that, he got postings in Kerala at his hometown. He was privileged to be here in Kerala, and long tenure of 10 years in NCC. A lot to tell to you people about NCC. I know most of this audience are from NCC background. You can hear, you can ask any questions to him in this short 45 minutes. Don't worry. But let me tell about Sir's service background. I've already told you he was in Signal Corps. He was awarded thrice by Army Chief the commendations he has got for his meritorious service that he has been in the post, and also got twice Army Commander's Medal also. And I know you all are waiting eagerly to listen to his experience that he has been in the army, especially the war that he has seen. He will explain about it, his experience and all. Let's start the program. Let's ask him the first question. Sir, what motivated you to join the armed forces as an officer?
Actually, I had to start with a very funny answer to this because I never wanted to join armed forces. I never wanted army or armed forces was never my first choice. And of course, there was no intention at all to join armed forces. So I finished my post graduation in MSc Electronics from Government Victoria College, Palakkad. And by the way, since most of the people are across outside the state also, I think we will keep it between mostly English and Hindi.
Yes, that will be better, sir. Many NCC cadets across the country. There is a group of 1.5 lakhs followers of NCC
Okay.
in the
Okay.
country.
So there
There's
is
a
no
group
point
which
in
has,
speaking in Malayalam. So I will continue in English and a little bit Hindi in between. And
please, sir.
any Keralite chap who specifically doesn't understand what I am speaking, he can note down the points and maybe in one question they can address it later on. For their benefit, I will like to summarize the whole talk in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. So now, very interesting. This thing, especially to the SSB aspirants, because firstly, you don't think you are fit enough to join army. That is one part. Second is you don't want to join army, armed forces. I was in that category. So what happened? Like I found this advertisement in the newspaper, applied for it. it'll be very funny for the people to know that I applied for it because the last line of the advertisement said the SSB interview will be Bangalore, Allahabad, or Bhopal, and the free second class train fare will be paid. I thought, why not go outside Kerala at government expenditure? And I prayed to the God that I should go to Allahabad so that I can wash all my sins at the government expenditure. Okay. So now, see, interesting thing. Since I don't want to join armed forces, my aim of going to SSB was just to see one of these places. Zero preparation. I never even purchased a book, How to Face SSB Interview. Had a broad idea that it will take 4 days for me to come back. So I just started the journey, and in the train I met a college professor who said, "If you are going for SSB, I hope you are not you are prepared very well." So I said, "Sir, no preparation." Then he is the one who came out of the train in Vijayawada and purchased a book of competition success review and gave it to me. He says, "You study it." And the interview was in Bhopal. I started going through it. It felt interesting. So, but then when I landed up there, there is something very interesting thing happened. That is, since I don't want to get selected, and there was absolutely no fear of consequences. I was on my original best, and I was not very fluent in English or Hindi or something. And boom, it started. And the initial physical and everything, I was almost last in the whole batch. Partially intentionally also, because I don't want to get selected. Obstacle and all, I remember I did only 2.5 in the whole 3 minutes and all. But then when it started the other part, the psychological test and particularly the interview, whatever questions he asked, I blasted whatever came to my mind. And later on, I came to know that in the conferencing out, my case was discussed for much, much more than what is normally done. And I was declared selected as number one in the merit because I was topper in all other tests other than the physical. Physical, I was almost the last. Then the board chairman decided that the physical can be compensated by training, but these kind of original stuff we want. So my message to my listeners is training is must. Training is very important. I was reading in Naidu's introductory this thing also that, but if you lose out your originality, original personality, see, what you should do is that you must take the training, you must read the books and all, digest the whole thing. Ultimately, when it come out of your hand or mouth, it should be your own original stuff. It is this originality, maintaining of that originality which clinched me, not that I wanted to join army. But my second message from the same question is, once I got selected to Indian Military Academy, then I was, physically very weak. I was never in NCC. I was never in any sports or something. But then it was hard work, hard work, hard work. Never looked back. Any, tough training or hard feeling there. I was only remembering about 10th of June 1987, in which my shoulders will have 2 stars. It is that vision that here it is 50 push-ups, 5 cycles up and down, nothing bothered to me except the 2 stars on my shoulder. And I went and passed out. Of course, I didn't pass out as number one in academy or something. But then 32 years down the line, 2019, when I look back, what a fantastic life, what a feeling, what a sort of experience I have. So I am really thankful to the Almighty for getting me selected to a choice. And my first choice was, by the way, I wanted to become a teacher in a college, which is still stands as my first preference.
Great to hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have noticed one important point what sir said. Even though he didn't want to join the armed forces, he thought, let me give it a try. He went with a open mind, went for this SSP interview. But when he went there, one important point what sir did in all the tasks, whether it's psychology or GTO or interview, one thing that he has done is, from his mind, whatever task that he was doing or whatever test that he was undergoing, he did it with an open heart. With whatever answers came from his mind, he has written or he has given it or he said in the interview. Very important point. Thank you, sir. The valuable advice. You
Just one more addition to it, Ashwin. In the interview, the board chairman asked me, okay, what will you do if you don't get selected to army? I immediately said, ki, sir, you are here to see whether I am fit enough to join army or not. You are not here to ask me what I will do. I will go and beg. I will go and teach. I will do whatever. Let us not waste our time. This is the answer I gave. And I got, I think, full marks for this in the interview for this answer, because later on I came to know the GTO, Major PC Katouch at that time, happened to be from Corps of Signals. I met him 2 years down the lane in Jammu. And then I asked him, sir, how it has happened. Then he remembered that you are that joker who, we discussed, and you are the one. And this is how it has happened. He explained the whole thing to me in Jammu railway station.
No wonder you came first in the merit, sir. Guys, one important thing which I would like to convey here is you heard the question. If not, interview में ये question पूछा जाएगा आप लोगों से कि if you don't clear this SSB, what's your plan? You always need to have an alternate plan. Like always, sir said, he already had a plan that he would like to become a teacher. So if not, what is your plan B? It's very important for you to be in life also, in your life. If not this, what's next? So you may fail many a times. You may not get what you like to. So never give up in your life. Always have this plan B and plan C also. Thank you, sir, for this valuable advice. So coming to your academy tenure, your training part, something which you would like to explain, or some important things or some funny moments which you would like to share with the aspirants who are going to join anyway, they have not seen what's inside academy. So some funny moments or something important that you would like to share.
You see, now when I look back, everything was funny moments only. But then it was not so at that time. It was, you are living day by day, because you don't know, especially people from down south, especially from Kerala, because I had to speak about my experience. We suffer from, I always call it a CFL problem. CFL problem. C means climate, F means food, and L means language. And you have serious issues with all those three, and you land up there. And the first day itself, the North Indian food of, now I like North Indian only, that's all. But dal and it was very difficult. And then physical torture, of course, is there. Then after that, the language, because being from army, the Indian Military Academies, most of the exercises and other things happen in Hindi. And you don't know what are they saying, you don't know what they're saying. So you have to move along the crowd. They say, "Samne dekh." So I broadly understood, मतलब सभी सामने देख रहा है, तो I will also look at. They said कि some दरकत का पेड़. Now what is पेड़? What is दरकत? I have no idea. और उसके बाद बोलता है दरकत 2:30 बजे. What is 2:30? बजे means हम सुना है कि वो बजाना है उसको. वो तेंदुलकर ने बजाना है. वो बजा हमने सुना है 2:30 बजे. क्या है 2:30 बजे? Absolutely clueless. Absolutely clueless. So everybody are looking in something. Then I understood. Incidentally, I will tell you one easy example for others to understand. In Kerala, there are a lot of elephants in temple parades and all. The Mahad, the elephant keeper, tells it, turn to the left. The elephant turns to the left. Turn to the right. Elephant turns to the right. Not that elephant understand what is left and what is right. Because during training time, the trainer would have said, turn to the left. The elephant would have kept quiet because it doesn't understand. And tack, one bloody beating. So it realized that it खाली खड़े होने में ये turn to the left में ये पड़ता है, मतलब डंडा पड़ता है. Then it says turn to the left. Then it turns to the right. Then tack, another one. करते करते it says turn to the left, and finally it turns to the left and there is no beating. Then it understood, अच्छा, turn to the left means this one. This is how I did everything in Indian Military Academy, because language was a big issue. Anyway, that was one. And the climate, I can tell you, the climate was so tough because I had never seen a winter. And when I went there, it was peak summer, and slowly November, December, and 10 degree, 5 degree, 4 degree, 0 degree. And suddenly everybody are saying, where is your Rajai? I said, what is Rajai? बोलता है नहीं ओढ़ने के लिए रजाई चाहिए. I said, what रजाई? So then somebody said, "Ki, get another mattress. You sleep on a mattress and put another mattress over your head." That is how I managed. And one small example, which is big life lesson for every one of us. When I landed up in July in academy, it was almost 40-degree plus. On the third day, we were wearing a khaki dangri, overall, with a thick cloth, and we all 400 were sitting in the class. And some nonsense in Hindi class he was taking, which as such I was not. So I was feeling very hot and sweaty. So I took my notebook and I did like this. And everybody were looking at me. I said ki probably they were from that place and they don't feel the heat or something. After some time I kept on doing this. The instructor noticed this because it was disturbance. It can never happen in academy. He said ki that gentleman please come up. So I came up. He said very hot. I thought he is asking because of he loves me. He loved me a lot. I said ki sir, it is very hot. He said ki don't sit in the crowd. Sit along with me here. So I sat down near to him, now facing the whole class. I still didn't feel what is in the offing. Then he says, ki, why are you sitting idle? You can continue fanning. So I kept on doing like this. So everybody started laughing. After some time, he said, I think it is this overall dress which is troubling you. So you can remove that overall dress. Then I started feeling, yeah, there is something. I said, no, sir, it's okay, sir. You open it. I opened it. Now I am only in my vest and underwear. And I am sitting there. After 2 minutes, he says, I think that vest is also not required. So finally, I was sitting on an underwear facing the whole class. Then he says, if you sit like this near me, you will disturb the focus of the whole class. So why can't you go and sit in the road in front of you? And road, mind you, 40-degree. I realized that now it is gone. So I went and sat down there. He says, ki, tum baithe baithe thak gaya hoga, you must be very tired. Why can't you lie down there? I lie down on the tar road. Then he says, if you lie down there, stand still, it will be very hot. So you start moving now. I was doing side roll. After 5 minutes side roll, I was almost dead. Then he said, come here. Whole class is still going on. He was still taking class. Then he asked me one question in Hindi. Abhi garmi lagega? Will you ever feel the heat? I said, no, sir. Bolta, you are now, this is the first step for you to become a soldier. Similar introduction was there for the winter also. For shortage of timing, I am not explaining the whole thing. That is called the Masuri night. That name is there, Masuri night. And again, same thing. Abhi thanda lagega? Nahi sir, kabhi nahi lagega. Abhi na garmi lag raha hai, na thanda lag raha hai. Nahi, see, there was a big message in the whole thing. And we cursed that instructor there at that time. Now, through me, the instructor has taught such a hardcore. See, I am from a fantastic, comfortable family. अगर तुम लेह में जाएगा, सियाचिन में जाएगा, मेरे को ठंड लग रहा करके ऐसा बैठा रहेगा, राजस्थान में जाएगा, and you feel that I am feeling hot and you don't come out of the cooler at all, then who will fight? So it's all part of the training. I realized it later. Somebody has to be made victim. I happen to be the victim this time. So this is how you learn, and it appears funny now to listen to, but that I have undergone. I stick to that principle. Nothing hampers me once I decided the bus. That's all. That's it. That is how the academy training goes on.
Even though it was a funny message, sir, but this message has got a lot of depth in it. Ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not join defense as an officer, but in your life, many challenges may happen. You today, most of the parents, feed the children inside AC, under the fan with lights and all. But those who work hard for life, these challenges like hot, winter, summer, it will never matter. If you focus towards your goals, then all these challenges will stand behind. Thank you for this message, sir.
See, popular proverb that the gold will be melted before it can be converted into a good ornament. So that melting is very important. If the gold withdraws at that time, it will remain a biscuit only. It will remain in the store. But if it has to become a beautiful ornament, it has to go for, melting and hammering and everything it has to undergo. There is no doubt.
Very true. Very true. Thanks for this wonderful message, sir. Sir, moving on, after your training, you were posted in JNK, and almost your most of your tenure in your 35, 32 years of service which you had been in JNK, Northeast, Rajasthan, Punjab. You know, before this Kargil War operations, which you were part of, any other ops which you would like to mention, or any such, I know many incidents, many ops you have gone through in your life. Any such memorable or breathtaking moments that you had in your life when you were in uniform?
Two things I would like to say about my first tenure. Both happened during my first tenure in Jammu Kashmir. That is Jammu, Rajouri, Poonch, in those areas. And after 2 years of my service, I happened to become the ADC of the then Corps Commander, Lieutenant General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, who later on became the Chief of the Army Staff. And this 1 year tenure as his ADC was a turning point in my life. Because in those days, the commanders don't go by hectare or something. Most of the travels used to be by road. And when you travel with these kind of senior people, they do interact with you. They convey so many points to you. And it is these kind of teachings, unknowing teaching or unintentional listening, which has made me what I am today. That is one. Second is, in 1989, 90 and all, when I was in Jammu, Jammu and Kashmir used to be the choicest place of posting for any army man because there was no terrorism started at that time. In fact, there was a joke that the people had to go to Delhi and bribe those officers in MS branch to get posted to Jammu and Kashmir. Well, not that the people took money, but then that was the price posting because Jammu and Kashmir is a beautiful place. One must see that. That is one. Now, specifically coming to the operations, there was a thing called Kirni operations. It was almost a miniature Kargil war, I can tell. Very, very miniature Kargil war. Ahead of Rajouri, there is a place called Poonch. Ahead of Poonch, the outpost was a place called Kirni. Now, what happened? Generally, as you know, in the J&K border, the winter time, both the army fall back because it is unsustainable because of the cold climate at that time. And it is you go by the trust that you presume that they will also go back and we also come back. And then again we start once the summer starts. And that time, like it happened in Kashmir, the Kirni, there were a couple of posts belonging to us, and they probably didn't vacate, they built up. And the next time, before we started going there, much before we started reoccupying it, somebody observed the movements of some people there and detected, and that slowly got into an operations. And luckily, it didn't turn into a war. Probably because terrorism was just starting there. Had it been 2 years later, it would have another Kargil war. That sort of thing. And the entire thing, because I am a youngster with 2 years of service, I found the battalions are moving up, the brigades are moving up. The brigade is occupying the place where the battalion was there. The division has moved up to the place in Poonch where the brigade was there. And as the corps commander, and his ADC, we have to be there in the divot quarter to know what is happening. So I was privy to all sort of briefings. Though I didn't understand 90% of it because of the 2 years service, you don't know the English which they are talking, the language they are talking. But then you are seeing everything, and the shells are falling, and we are also firing, the ammunition is coming up, and a whole lot of things. The most appealing two things happen in this is that whenever you are moving up or down, I found the civilian from our side in the Poonch and all,
They were all offering their houses, their water, food, and everything. But साहब एक cup chai पी करके जाओ time. So these kind of things, it was the first time of experience for me. Because I can tell you, you may have Bofors or Rafael or something. One sort of this kind of help from the local population, and it, you asked in the beginning, now how is the Josh? When it goes up like anything, then it gives a feeling that yes, I will die for these people here. Look at this, how they are taking care of you. It is this feeling, it is this push from inside, but push of the soldier even to die. That is one. The most touching was we visited the field hospital there, and seeing the injured people, and I found a Havildar hit on his face, and I think he had one eye only, the other was already blown up, and there was no nose. At least I couldn't see. And the most, scene was his tongue was, hanging up to this and split it into two. That means he couldn't even speak, he couldn't even this thing. And at least Corps Commander and all are kept asking, and I just couldn't stand that. He was a Havildar from one of the RP regiment. And one rocket or whatever, something has hit, and within 24 hours that Havildar expired. And I thank God that because it was very difficult to survive at that time. But what I'm saying is that after seeing all those things, it only reignites your resolve to fight. And ऐसा नहीं कि अरे बाप रे इसको हो गया तो कल मेरा क्या होगा? If something happens to me, what will happen to my family? This is what generally people think. Because that Havildar was the deadliest scene I ever seen, living man in this condition. And thank God he didn't survive that. So this is one experience. And of course, they say you can't go there, and you are lying down, you have been given a small tent or room to stay, and tum, 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 tum. You keep listening to the this thing, and you are not even sure whether the next bomb will come and, fall in on your top. The tent ke upar girega ki nahi girega. So this was with 2.5 years. I think that was the battle inoculation for me into armed forces, the tough life ahead. The Kirni operation.
Great. Those who have not heard about this op Kirni, I hope you have got just a gist of it. Nothing can't be explained in detail, but it was a deadly one. Hats off to you, sir. And what about the Kargil operation, sir? Would you like to say something apart from those which we have read or which we have seen? Something from your side which you have seen in the. Hope I'm audible, sir.
Yeah.
I was asking about Kargil War. We all have read, defense aspirants have read, but through your eyes, what you have seen, would you like to narrate it, sir?
I will not take much time because most of it is on the net, and I will briefly touch about my experience only. But let me tell you one thing. Whether it is Kargil War, I don't know how many of you heard about a thing called Operation Parakram in 2000, when our parliament was bombed and the entire armed forces were ready for an offensive. And in the very, very last minute, we were told to come back. So I was part of that also. In fact, most of our right leg was already into Pakistan territory. One whistle and it would have gone. How we were told, why we were told to come back and all, it's all political decisions. If you compare Kargil War with Operation Parakram, preparation of armed forces in Parakram was at least 20 times more than that of Kargil War. You can imagine what would have happened if Op Parakram would have been declared as a war. I can tell you that it would have got eliminated at that time. That was the spirit, especially after Kargil War. Now, when it comes to Kargil War, or rather all the wars, I can tell you another thing. If you go through India's wars, including 1947, 62, 65, 71, Kargil War, and Op Parakram, everything, it's all always, we never went on an offensive first. We never captured an inch of area from Pakistan or China or something. It is always, you can see from the net, it is always that we were forced into a war every time, and especially with Pakistan. I can explain in half an hour how these things have happened. It is their frustration of Parvez Musharraf and his army which led into Kargil war. But remember one thing, that is another topic of this thing for a separate day. Remember one thing, in a war, it's all 50-50. We could have lost also. Just imagine for a second if India would have lost Kargil war. Then where India would be now and where Pakistan would be now. Now that we have won the Kargil war, we can say that yes, India is, and because the image of India in the international scene has gone up notches, and the image of Pakistan has gone down the drain. And if it would have been other way around, that is why I keep telling people that why there is no photograph of Manoj Pandey and Vikram Batra in your house, because these are the people who sacrifice their life for you to stand straight with your entire chest up. And not that they are not keeping the photo, people don't even know the names that who are all given. It is very pathetic state of general public that they don't think, or rather they think it is the duty of everybody to in army to die. And in fact, sometimes I always used to feel they are looking at me as if कि sir आप तो जिंदा आ गए पेंशन लेकर के आपने कुछ काम नहीं किया क्या आर्मी में. That kind of comments, can you imagine? So anyway, coming to my role in Kargil war, I was not in Kargil, but then of course I wear Kargil war medal with me because I was part of the operation Vijay. Because Ashwant, as you are aware, war is, once it is declared, it never happens in a localized way. Because what happens when the enemy is feeling the pressure in one place, that is Kargil, he will try to attack us through any other weak spots. So the army, navy and air force has to be on top alert in all the vulnerable places. And I was part of an electronic warfare team to intercept the communication radio sets, etc., of the Pakistan army and generate intelligence from that, whether they are coming through this area. The entire Pakistan border was covered by the electronic warfare detachment commanded by me. And we were in bunkers and we had Hungarian made equipment, and we were also having jammers to jam the air to ground communication of Pakistan, because of which many Rakhi helicopters and all even couldn't come to our border areas. So though it was a success war, so we were all under tremendous tension for that 30 days or 40 days we were there, because I was privy to many of the intelligence reports coming from up and down both ways. So that is where I was part of the Kargil war. I was never part of that dishum in Tiger Hill. I was part of the war, that's all.
Great, sir. To give the support for the infantry and artillery, of course, a
True.
strong signal corps team is required, and your presence, the entire troop which were there, really appreciate that. Hats off to you, sir. Even though you are not in front, of course, you were there. It's a privilege to have you, sir, on our spotlight. So, towards your end of your tenure, almost I think more than 10 years, you were commanding officer of many of NCC units. Especially, you have commissioned one of the NCC unit in Northeast. That too, the extreme Northeast and Damini, which is there in Arunachal Pradesh. I think you are the first commanding officer of that battalion. And towards the end, you moved on to Kerala, and also long 10 years in NCC. So, what's your most of the NCC, the largest uniformed youth organization of the country, more than 16 lakh NCC cadets across the country. Just briefly, sir, your experience as a commanding officer. We would like to ask more questions about NCC, what it also. Just a brief experience as a commanding officer, or why you chose NCC, or was it a choice that you asked for, or is it you had inside something to give back to NCC cadets? What was your experience as a commanding officer?
That's true. I asked for it, NCC, that too in specifically in Kerala, because I read it from many places that this is one area in which you can give it back to the society. At that time, I never had any intention to retire from NCC. I only wanted a tenure in Kerala so that I can interact with the local people, motivate the general public to join NCC and tell them more about armed forces and all. And that was in Kochi, which happens to be the hometown of my wife. Once I came here and slowly I started settling down, I realized the sky is the limit. You can keep doing, keep doing. There is a lot of scope for initiative. I went wrong in many places also, but then there was no this thing of intention. I never had any bad intention. I wanted to do something, is misfired in some places. As it misfired or as I did something wrong, I became more and more bold, more and more bold, more and more bold. So I will tell only two things to sum it up. One is, as you mentioned, opening of NCC in a place called Anini, which is not only the northernmost part of the Northeast. At that time, it was the remotest place in India to have NCC. And there was no compulsion on me to go and, I was in a place called Pasighat in Arunachal Pradesh. Reaching Pasighat itself takes 4 days. You have to travel by plane and then train and then boat and gypsy and everything. And from Pasighat, it takes another 4 days to reach Anini. And once you reach Anini, you are not very sure whether you will be back or not because, road slides and every avalanches and all sort of thing. So I happened to visit Anini just to see how this place is. There was no intention to open NCC. Then I found the government higher secondary school, Anini. I just went inside. I met the principal. I asked the principal, can I interact with your students for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? She said, sir, it is our great blessing in case. So she arranged everything, around 300 students maximum in the auditorium. And I asked them, do you know NCC? They all said yes, khaki and red hack, the balloon and all those things. So I asked them casually, do you want NCC? Because Ashwant, you are aware that in India, if anybody wants to have NCC, the paperwork, it goes up and down. It will take minimum 1 year to 1.5 years for it to get sanctioned. And there are people who are waiting for the last 10 years to get the NCC sanctioned because there is no vacancy. They said, yes, we wanted NCC. I just told them, okay, I will say Bharat Mata Ki 3 times. And the way you shout Jai, if that sound can reach the ears of Narendra Modi, then I can give you NCC. Because it was only a joke. I said Bharat Mata Ki, and the first time, I think the tin roof would have shaken. 300 people, mind you. Second time, they said, certainly it would have reached Narendra Modi. Third time, I couldn't even complete Bharat Mata Ki because of emotions. Now, here is a message for whomever is listening, that the true patriotism. I conducted camps in Kerala also. When I say Bharat Mata Ki, the first time they will say Jai. Second time Bharat Mata Ki, only Jai, the hand will not move. Third time, even the Jai will not come. In Kerala, people sitting in Northeast, just bang on Chinese border, their eyes are like this. They almost look similar to Chinese. And look at this patriotism they have shown when I said Bharat Mata Ki. And we sitting here in Kerala and Tamil Nadu are calling the Northeast people terrorists. Terrorists are not there, terrorists are here. Your hands are not even coming up for saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And rest is history. What happened? I went to the district collector's office, deputy commissioner as they call it, told him the whole thing, took the telephone, spoke to the chief secretary of Arunachal Pradesh, picked up the phone and spoke to DG NCC from there within half an hour. This Bharat Mata Ki Jai has happened at 11 o'clock in the morning, and 1 o'clock I declared the NCC unit operational. I think from that angle also.
The record that within 2 hours NCC was opened in the school. Second is, I commanded the NCC Girls Battalion here in Kerala, in Thrissur. And within a span of 1.5 years, I could bring that Girls Battalion selected as the best battalion of 45 odd battalions in Kerala. It has never happened. I don't think it will again happen also in the near future. A pure girls battalion, having around 1,000 odd girls, has beaten 40 odd mixed battalions having more than 3,000 cadets, boys and girls. And we have beaten them hollow. Because, and I feel, don't you feel this is what is women empowerment all about? So these two things really, I consider it as a great achievement during my this 10 years, 10 years of tenures in NCC.
Really great, sir. Many officers come to NCC for just, having their time spent, a home posting, compassionate, but very few like you take this much initiative and bring something to bring a change. You need to, you need to be the first person to change. And this initiative of commissioning this battalion in Anini and getting this 7 Kerala girls NCC battalion at Thrissur into one of the finest battalions in Kerala. Really appreciate that. Hats off to you, sir. So one question regarding NCC. Many cadets, many students join NCC with the motive that, yes, I can join armed forces. But there are lots and lots of benefits through NCC. Would you like to comment on this?
See, for that I had to actually touch upon the history of NCC. To start with, when NCC was started in 1948, the prime aim of NCC used to be to form a second line defense for the Indian Armed Forces. So that is how the whole syllabus was decided like that. But as things have happened, 62 war, 65 war, and I don't know how many of you know that even in the 1965 war, there was a cadet called Under Officer Pratap Singh, and that fellow was in action in near Jalandhar, what do you call, I'm just forgetting his place name, near Jalandhar in Gurdaspur in Punjab. And action is something different. This chap was awarded Ashok Chakra as a cadet by then President V.V. Giri. I don't know how many NCC cadets know about it. And this is the highest award for any civilian, and a cadet of 19 years. He got it, not posthumous, living only. So that is how the NCC has started. But as the expansion happened, now, though it is written in the 3 aims of NCC, as far as I am concerned, the prime aim of NCC to make you a disciplined team worker who can contribute a lot to NCC. And my message to all the NCC cadets also, be useful to the society around you. And if you can't be useful to the society, at least don't be of any nuisance to the society. That is very important, because nowadays youngsters tend to do a lot of nuisances without caring for the comfort and the thing around the society around them. So when it comes to NCC, when somebody joins NCC, whether you join armed forces or not, that is fantastic if you can join as an officer or in the ranks. But then I can assure you one thing: if you are a sincere NCC cadet, committed NCC cadet, disciplined NCC cadet, a teamwork NCC cadet, you will be, the best chap around wherever you are. You become, even Narendra Modi was a cadet, and he has mentioned in 2015 Wala his first ever PM rally. It is still there in the YouTube. He says how the NCC training as a JD cadet has helped him in his further life ahead. So, all NCC cadets, please try for joining armed forces and all. But then if you don't get into it, don't get disheartened. NCC training will help you, will support you, will make you, the best human being around, the best personality around, who will be more useful to the society around than a non-NCC cadet.
Great message for all NCC cadets. You all have heard. Many join with the motive of joining armed forces, but even if you can't, the qualities that you imbibe through NCC will make you a good human being. And that is what is required for today's youth. Sir, to the youth, uh, today many aspirants, many students, especially youth, uh, today we have seen a change from the corporate world. There was a boom of IT in 2000, but now it has gone down. And with the intro of many changes, technologies in armed forces, and the pay scale which has increased, way beyond today, the life in armed forces is a not, of course it's an adventurous, but at the same time, pay and privileges are equally good, or I can say better than the corporate world. Rather than getting a job in private firm, or trying for PSC and SSC in government fields where years and years they are trying and not getting. But if with a dedication, or with a sheer dedication, if you work for clearing SSB, or as a recruitment rally, whatever, to join, to wear that uniform, what is an advice, being a defense officer, being a colonel, served for 35 years, what is your advice to the youth today?
Ashwant, there are many, many, many more things in life than money. That is the first thing. Secondly, once you know the life in army and what you are doing, I can tell you one thing. Even if it is Chief Minister of Kerala or Narendra Modi's office or something, you ring up and you say, I am Colonel Padmanabhan here. There is no second question asked. And same thing as I said, the way you conduct yourself, the way you go there, and whether to the collector's office, in any public forum, you say, I am Colonel so-and-so, you are offered a seat in the podium straight away. So this respect, what the nation has for you as a soldier, you will never get it anywhere, and this is beyond your salary. If you are given 5 lakh rupees per month and say, what are you? Sir, I am an accountant in so-and-so, I am not taking any company's name. And the other one says, sir, I was a Havildar in Indian Army with 30,000 rupees of pension, that Havildar will be, automatically given. So, doing something for your mother, doing something for the nation. You see, as Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev said in a recent interview, that death can happen during the performance of your duty in many fields, electricity boards and water authorities and roadways and everything. But joining a profession, knowing very well that you are going to die, you are going to widow your wife or something, it needs a different kind of attitude. So it is the way of satisfaction which you want to derive from your life. Whether you want to have a comfortable life, you lost the battle in the first step itself. Comfort, if you want to be comfortable, then don't go for 5 lakh rupees also. 10,000 rupees salary le lo, bribe le lo, car le lo, coat le lo, suit le lo, what nonsense. वो चलता ही रहेगा. What I am saying is that you don't compare. I consider 3 professions as zero error. मतलब उनसे थोड़ा सा भी गलती हो गया ना, वो it won't survive. One is doctors, because they deal with lives. Chota sa galti, small mistake, the patient will die. And I am really worried about the deterioration happening in the moral ethics of the field, medical field as a whole. It is something really worrying. Number 1. Number 2 is teachers. If a teacher is not doing their job, or a teacher is doing a wrong thing, the 40 children sitting in front of the teacher, gone. These 40 children will become 40 teachers tomorrow. 40 multiplied by 40. So it will happen in the geometric progression, where the society, the moral ethics of the values of the society will bring down. And the third is, that means if a teacher does something wrong, it will have a drastic, effect, bad effect, adverse effect on the society. And third is soldier. If entire India is standing on the border, if one soldier feels that yaar main thoda so jata hu, let me take a nap. Mind you, it's the whole chain, and one chain, the whole thing gone. That means it is the real zero error, and that chap is standing there for you people to think about like this. यार कौन जाएगा आर्मी में, कौन जाएगा नेवी में, हम उधर जाएंगे, तू उधर तभी जाएगा जब वो आदमी ड्यूटी करेगा अपना. So you can't compare all those things. And let me conclude this answer by telling that देखो, if you are born in this world, you have to die one day. When are you going to die? Ashwant, can you tell? You can't. Even I can't.
No.
Whether I will be alive tomorrow morning, I am not very sure. So are you. So when are we going to die? It is not in your hand. How do you want to die? Is it in your control? कोरोना से मरना है, सांप काट के मरना है, lightning से मरना है, a car accident you want to die, that is also not in your hand. But let me tell you, if the God comes down and tells me, Padmanabhan, I am very happy with you, you have to die one day, of course, but then I will give you the option. How do you want to die? I can't think a better death than taking on the bullet onto my chest, because if I am not there, that bullet will hit my mother on her chest. Which mother? Mother India. Can you ever imagine, ever dream of any better death than dying for your mother nation? Taking on that bullet? So, this kind of death is only reserved to armed forces people. And I was unlucky that even after serving for 32 years, I came back alive taking on my pension. That is still remains as my regret. Because 17 bullets on Yogendra Singh Yadav's chest. He is still alive. I have seen his body. 17 bullets. ये देश के लिए मरना है ना, ये लल्लू पंचू लोगों को नहीं मिलता. I used to say. It really requires grit. And even if you go there and stand there, I want to die for the nation, the bullet will go from here and here. You will not die. So you have to be really lucky, blessed one to die for the nation. That is my message.
One of the ever, I've heard many motivational messages, sir, but this is something which has really given me goosebumps. Guys, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I have, I don't know how many of you have listened to this. I'm just reiterating, if you are given a choice to die, there's nothing best than dying for the motherland. Thank you, sir. I have also got emotional. But moving ahead, you said about Yogendra Yadav, sir. Something about Amar Jawan Jyoti memorial monuments that across the India. I've read about you being, when you were there in Kerala and the NCC battalion, you have renovated Amar Jawan Memorial Monument over there. What is your message towards the country for having? It should be whether it would we should have across the country. I think in Kerala, I think it has been celebrated. The renovation of it in Thrissur has been heard across Kerala, across India, I should say. What is the importance to the youth about this Amar Jawan Memorial Monument, sir?
Thank you for this question, Ashwin, because this is something very close to my heart. And Thrissur Amar Jawan, you can search for it in the net and you will find a fantastic monument standing there. In fact, the best monument in Thrissur town as on date, after we renovated it in January this year, which was dedicated to the nation by Paramir Chakra, Kargil hero, Yogendra Singh Yadav. That is one. Second is, the message is that, there is a general who said, British general, that war only produces widows. Because you see, after all, after the war is over, of course, some benefits and all will be given to the widows, or as we call Veer Naris, and their children. But then is it enough? That is what the question is. Because he didn't die just like that. He stood there to die. Okay, so coming on particular days, August 15, January 26, your Kargil Vijay Divas, your 1971 Vijay Divas, etc. When you people assemble there to pay floral tributes to the known and unknown soldiers who have laid their life for us, the widows or Veer Naris and their orphan children, the aged mothers or whomever it is, they must be seeing it on TV live, they must be reading it on the newspaper, they must be seeing it on the news and all. That is the moment when the Veer Nari or widow will feel proud that okay, my husband has given up his life for these people, and these people do remember them every second month or every third month or something. So by paying floral tributes in a place like Amar Jawan, what you are actually doing, you are converting their personal sorrow, personal grief into a national celebration or national pride. Okay. So this is what is happening. And secondly, I don't know whether you are aware, there are many foreign countries where on the day of your birthday, on the day of your wedding, it is almost mandatory for all of them to visit Amar Jawan Smarak, means whatever is the war memorial there, and before they go to church or mandir or wherever it is. So I realized that it is my duty as a commanding officer or as a veteran now to bring this to highlight. And let me tell you, the structure has become very beautifully rather attractive there. Every day there are hundreds of children who are coming there, taking selfies, going through the scribbling which has been put there. And especially now that 75th anniversary, Independence Day anniversary is coming, many principals have already called me, sir, we want to take the children to Amar Jawan. And we want to start the day by, paying respect at Amar Jawan. So I think Amar Jawan is a thing. Generally what happens, even if you make a Amar Jawan, it is only some ex-servicemen who go there and, put a wreath or pay some. But Thrissur, I could change it. Now, recently we have celebrated the Kargil War Day. I didn't announce anywhere. I just requested the mayor and the collector in case you can come. That's all. I didn't even give a telephone call to them. And what happened there? The collector, the mayor, the councillors and the MLA, MP couldn't come. He spoke to me, and the rural SP, the city police, without even invitation. Why should I invite? It is not my father's Atma which is lying there. It is Atma of the same people who have died for them also. I could convey this message to the public in Thrissur. And there are people in Ernakulam now and in Palakkad and in Calicut who are in touch with me to build similar Amar Jawans in all the districts of Kerala. It is there somewhere inside or something, but then we need it at public place so that every public can come there and pay their respect to the laid down Amar Jawan. That means known or unknown soldiers.
Thanks a lot, sir, for this great initiative. And it's a message to all those who are listening. Let's take some time on those days where we can, give a salute to those who have lived lives for the country. Thank you, sir. Sir, I have got lots and lots of questions to ask. I know it, but we had planned for 1 hour. One last question before we wind up, sir. One message to the youth, to the country, for this 75th Independence Day that we are going to celebrate.
See, independence is a misunderstood concept now in India, because most of the people who are 75 and below, they are not seeing the independence struggle. We call it independence, but actually India was independent long ago, centuries ago. How the British people or Portuguese people came into India, because all these foreigners were crooked people who came and tried to create a wedge between the local rulers, and these idiotic local rulers fell into the game plan, allowed them to come in, and finally they surrendered the whole thing. So what has happened, what made us lose our independence is that if we remain united, no foreign country can or no, when nobody can come and interfere. Actually, this message was not understood by the local, rulers at that time. And ultimately, we have to give hundreds or thousands of lives and blood and whatnot. 1957, what happened. Lots of war, quit India war, this war, that. For what? It is to regain that independence which we had comfortably some 200 years back because our rulers were divided. And it can still happen, I can tell you. If the rulers and we play to the foreigners' plan or something, we will easily lose out whatever independence we are having. So never be under the impression that we got the independence from. No, we regained the independence which we lost because of our own stupidity. That is number one. Number two, youngsters particularly, they all think that the independence means jo man mein karega wo karega. I can do anything. I can tell anything to anyone. I can write anything to anyone. Okay, you feel okay. India got politically free. That is okay. But there are so many fields which we need still freedom from. The caste, creed, the poverty, the illiteracy, and how many issues are there? Health. Do you think are we free from all these things? So that is one aspect of thinking. And you as a youth can do a lot in bringing this freedom. And secondly, it is not the freedom which was given only to you. It was freedom given to everybody else around you also. You have no business in, spoiling the freedom which he also deserves. In today's news and all, तुम जो मर्जी करेगा लेकिन वो कुछ भी करेगा तो उसको ये कर देता है. So it is the freedom. You have to ensure that everyone else also around you enjoys as much freedom as you have. Have tolerance. It's a hard fought. And my last message of independence for the 75th Independence Day is getting independence or regaining independence is not that difficult task. Maintaining the independence thus we got on a day-to-day basis by the soldiers who are standing guard for you around India, around our nation is very, very difficult. There is a very, very popular saying by saying, जो हमारा तिरंगा है ना, the tricolor flag, that doesn't flutter by the strong wind around or something. That tiranga or tricolor flag flutters with the last breath of the soldiers, fallen soldiers. That is one. And what is, we keep talking about India map and all. It looks like this and all. क्या कोई chalk piece से ऐसा कोई marking किया गया? No. There is another general who said, a map of a nation is drawn by joining the heads of the soldiers who are standing guard for it. One soldier falls 1 feet inside, the map will be done like this. You have seen it in Afghanistan happening, Ukraine happening, everywhere it is happening. So please don't forget. Whoever has already laid down their life, it is okay, but there are still people who are, standing guard there. They are looking at you. So it is the freedom, maintenance of freedom, which is very difficult. Hats off to Indian Armed Forces who are ensuring that people inside this line, so-called map, remain free in true sense. For that, we need a very, very strong army and a very strong political leadership also.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable message for this 75th Independence Day. Sir, lots of Mallus are listening to you. You being from Kerala. Just before we wind up, a small message for those who are listening to you in Malayalam.
മെസ്സേജ് ഒന്നുമില്ല മക്കളെ. ഞാൻ കുട്ടികളോട് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പറയാനുള്ളത് ഒന്ന് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഒരു ഡെസ്പറേഷനും എനിക്ക് ഇതാവാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല, ഇതാവണം, ആഗ്രഹങ്ങളൊക്കെ നല്ലതാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഒരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാക്കാതെ നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് തന്നെയാണെങ്കിലും എന്ത് തന്നെ ആയാലും അത് വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പിന്നെ ഇന്ത്യനാവണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനാവണം, ഐ ആം എൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ എന്നുള്ള സെക്കൻഡ് ഐഡന്റിറ്റി മനസ്സിലാക്കാം. ഇത് രണ്ടും ഓക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി, ഞാൻ പട്ടാള ഓഫീസറാണ്, ഞാൻ സ്കൂൾ മാഷാണ്, ഞാൻ ക്രിസ്ത്യൻ ആണ്, ഞാൻ നായരാണ്, ഞാൻ ഹിന്ദു ആണ്, ഈ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി മൂന്നാമതാണ്. ഈ ആദ്യത്തെ രണ്ട് ഐഡന്റിറ്റി ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, അതായത് ഞാനൊരു നല്ല മനുഷ്യനാണെന്നും ഞാനൊരു ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനാണെന്നും, അത് രണ്ടും സീറോ ആണെങ്കിൽ, കാരണം ഇന്നത്തെ പേപ്പറുകളിലൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ ന്യൂസ് കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മനുഷ്യനാണോ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യമൊക്കെ സംശയമുണ്ട്. അത് കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് രണ്ടും സീറോ ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മൂന്നാമത്തെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി നിങ്ങൾ പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആയാലും നിങ്ങളെ കൊണ്ട് വലിയ ഗുണമൊന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. നേരെ മറിച്ച് ആദ്യത്തെ രണ്ടെണ്ണം, ഞാനൊരു നല്ല മനുഷ്യനാണ്, ഞാൻ നല്ലത് മാത്രമേ ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ, എന്റെ കൈ കൊണ്ട് ഒരു മനുഷ്യർക്കും ഞാൻ യാതൊരു ഉപദ്രവം ചെയ്യില്ല, ഞാനൊരു ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനാണ്, തമിഴ്നാട്ടുകാരനാണ്, ആന്ധ്രക്കാരനാണെന്ന് തള്ളുകയല്ല, ഞാൻ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനാണെന്നുള്ളത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഓക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ, വണ്ണാണെങ്കിൽ, മൂന്നാമത് നിങ്ങൾ സീറോ ആണെങ്കിൽ, ഐഡന്റിറ്റി ഓക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ സമൂഹത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾ എന്താണെന്നുള്ള സെൽഫ് അനാലിസിസ് നിങ്ങൾ നടത്തൂ. നല്ല മനുഷ്യത്വമുള്ള മനുഷ്യനായിട്ട്, നല്ല സെൽഫ് ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ഉള്ള മനുഷ്യനായിട്ട്, നല്ല ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനായിട്ട്, ഇന്ത്യ രാജ്യത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എന്ത് ചെയ്യാനും ഞാൻ റെഡിയാണെന്നുള്ള സർവീസ് മനോഭാവത്തോടു കൂടി സമൂഹത്തിന് ഉതകുന്ന, ഉപകാരപ്പെടുന്ന മനുഷ്യനായിട്ട് വളർന്നു വരിക. ഞാൻ ആദ്യത്തെ മെസ്സേജിൽ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ സമൂഹത്തിന് ഉപകാരപ്പെട്ടില്ലെങ്കിലും സമൂഹത്തിനെ ഉപദ്രവിക്കാതെ, അതിന് ഉപദ്രവമില്ലാതെ നിങ്ങൾ ജീവിച്ചു വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് വേണ്ടി ചെയ്തെടുക്കാൻ പറ്റും.